Do you know I've been painting for 30 years? That's a lot of time. And in that time, I figured out some supplies, paints, brushes, canvases that I love to use that I really want to share with you. I'll be going over supplies that are good for beginners, intermediates, and advanced painters. I also have a lot of supplies that deliver a great value and a low cost, but also supplies that are a little bit more expensive but well worth the investment. I will have links below in the description if you want to purchase these supplies. And also I've got a blog post on this topic. So if you'd like to see everything written up in one place, then I will link that blog post in the description. Let's get going. For your beginner or intermediate, I'd like to recommend 3 different paint types. Let's talk about what defines a good paint versus a paint that's not so good. So a cheaper paint is going to have less pigmentation. So you need more of that paint to make differences in your color mixing. So the more expensive paints have more of that pigmentation. First is the Blick Studio paints. These are really decent paints. What I found is that Blick is a decent amount of pigmentation and is a great price. And also, I think Utrecht is also an excellent choice, and Amsterdam. I think these are all pretty comparable and really good if you're a beginner or intermediate. Now, if you're intermediate to advanced or professional, then the very best brand is Golden. Golden paint has the highest pigmentation level. They are such wonderful paints. You just need a little bit to make a difference in your color mixes. And another great brand would be the Liquitex Professional. What I recommend not using is Liquitex Basics. Liquitex Basics are really cheap paints, and even after the paint is dry, if you take a wet rag, you can actually wipe off the paint. So avoid Liquitex Basics. Let's talk about brushes now. So brushes are really important in your painting. If you get a decent, expensive, or good quality brush, typically the hairs won't fall out and you'll just get a really beautiful line and beautiful marks. The cheaper brushes, if they fall out when you're painting, if the bristles come out, then you don't want to use that brush. So the paint brushes that are by far the least expensive and deliver the most value are these Zen brushes from Royal and Langnickel. I got these at Michael's. You can get them from Blick as well, probably on Amazon too. But these are I would say a medium, so it's not soft, it's a medium brush, has a little bit of firmness. Especially this brush, the liner brush, you can get some really nice, beautiful lines. This brush is great for clouds. You see that curve there? And so I think that if you want to kind of invest in a decent brush, but don't want to spend a whole lot right now, I would highly recommend this Royal and Langnickel brush. Now, if you want to go a little bit of a step up, then you have the Blick Scholastic Wonder. And these are also awesome brushes. I'd say about the same sort of firmness, stiffness, medium bristle, also a nylon brush. And both of these are also good for watercolor or even oil. And then our most expensive high quality brushes. The Princeton Catalyst brush is pretty amazing. It's just a really responsive brush, like exactly what you push on the paper, it shows you that line. Like you can get a really nice clean edge with this flat, great clouds with this filbert type brush. And I just think it's a great brush. It's really sturdy, and so you can be a little rough with it, and it really holds up well. And finally, my very favorite brushes. These are the Escoda Chungking brushes, and I love these. So you can see these are really big brushes. Generally speaking, you want to match the size of your brush to your canvas. And if you're doing abstract work, I tend to like a bigger canvas, at least 24 by 24. And if you're going, 2 feet by 2 feet, you're going to want a bigger brush for some marks. Now, if you're going with a smaller canvas, then smaller brushes are fine. But what I love about these brushes, and you can see I have this many. This one's a mop brush. But what I love about these, they're a hard bristle brush, and I love how they are tapered at the top. And this one is not tapered, obviously. It's more of a mop brush, great for blending and for like big poofy areas. But these are just fantastic. They're workhorses. I've had these for many years. You can see they're in decent condition except for this one, which is a little bit loose. I think these are worth the investment. If the sizes go through 1 through 12, I'll get like a 1 and a 5 and a 12 if I'm really trying to sort of keep my purchase down, right? You don't have to get every single size of a brush. You can skip a few sizes. So like a small, a medium, and large is a good place to start. And then the difference with the hard bristle and the soft bristle brushes. So the soft bristle brushes, they tend to use more in watercolor and oil where you're trying to do a lot of blending and soft work. I think these hard bristle brushes are good for abstraction. I find they're great for abstraction. They're not as sort of detailed, but they make some really nice marks. You can get some really nice dry brush marks with these as well. Now, if you're still watching this video, I'm pretty sure you like it. So go ahead and just like this video, subscribe to my channel, and better yet, comment on this video. It makes a huge difference to my growing channel. Let's talk about palette knives. So a palette knife is what you use to mix your paint, but you can also paint with it. In fact, I paint mostly with palette knife. I love using a palette knife to put on texture, to create thick areas, to scumble. If you don't know what scumbling is, it's to push paint lightly on another color so that you get a little bit of an effect of the other color in the background. So it kind of is a layering effect. But these are great to have in different sizes. So I love this nice big one. I also have this huge palette knife if I'm doing a really big canvas. And Liquitex makes a great set, and also Blick has an awesome set as well. But I do like the metal ones. You can get the plastic ones too. They're pretty light and floppy, and you're not going to get a whole lot of use out of the plastic ones. But if money is an issue, then go for the plastic set, and then when you're ready to invest in the metal ones, then go for that. So for painting surfaces, you can paint on paper, you can paint on wood, you can paint on canvas. The key is that for acrylic painting, you want to gesso the surface first, or buy a canvas that's already gessoed. And so I'm going to talk about my favorite canvases. If you're just starting out and you don't want to spend a lot on your canvases, this is an example of the Michaels 5-pack. This is a 16 by 20. I would not go any smaller than this if you're starting out with abstraction, because you want to work bigger with abstraction. And these are a very decent canvas. A 5-pack at the time of this recording is about $13. So that is pretty awesome. And they have bigger sizes as well. This is the skinny profile, so it's not going to look as great on the wall without a frame, but this is awesome if you're learning and you don't want to spend a whole lot of money right now. For a step up, I recommend the Blick Premier canvases. They are excellent quality and a really good value. Okay, so if you want a little bit more of a professional canvas and you want something thicker, you can get the museum profile. These tend to be about 1.5 inches, and I really like these because they don't have to be framed. And so you have a choice of getting the back stapled, or you can get what's called the splined back. And so it just depends on your preference. I think the splined back looks pretty neat and clean. And then for my professional best quality pick, I would say the Fredericks Dixie Pro canvas. It's a really good quality canvas. The corners are folded over really nicely and very professionally. And so I would go with this one if you want to get something that's top notch. But either one is totally fine. The other thing you can do is use a wood panel. And my favorite panels are Ampersand's wood panels. They are really high quality. You can get them gessoed or not gessoed. And the nice thing about working on wood panels, it's a very smooth surface, and you can get really rough with your surface and you're not going to sort of, dent that canvas. Canvas it's cotton, right? And we can poke it and we can get holes in it. So if you like to be really rough with your paintings, I'd probably go with a panel. But honestly, I do lots of texture in my work. The canvas is totally fine for my purposes. Another economical option is that they sell value packs of the wood panels, and Ampersand makes those value packs as well. And then another affordable wood panel would be a Blick's wood panel. All great options. So for wood panels, the most economical way would be to go to Home Depot or Lowe's, get a piece of one of those large pieces of like 4x8 birch panels and have them cut it up for you. Usually they don't go less than a foot on any dimension, but you can get some nice thick panels that look great, and then you just have to put a hanger on the back. Some acrylic artists prefer working on paper for a lot of different reasons. Some just prefer paper because it's lighter and easier to work with. Others don't want to waste a canvas if they're learning, and so I've got some really good paper options for you. For the most affordable, this one is nice and big. It's 11 by 14, and the quality of the paper is really nice and thick. And so if you like to work on paper, you can check out this mixed media pad. For watercolor paper, which also works with acrylic, by the way, Canson makes a really great one. And you can gesso these first for acrylic. I recommend that. If you're going to do acrylic, I would gesso the paper first. But again, this is a really nice heavy-duty paper. These are both 140 pounds. So That's the weight of the paper and the quality of the paper. I also really love this acrylic painting paper. This is an archival paper made by Strathmore, and it's a little heavier duty than the watercolor and the mixed media paper. And you actually don't have to gesso beforehand. You can if you want to, but I usually just paint right on this because it's heavyweight, and it's the 400 series. They make different series of these, so you can get a lighter weight one if you want to, but these are all really awesome options if you prefer to paint on paper. My palette recommendation is this one, which I made myself, and I will have a tutorial about how to make your own palette. But what I like about this is that you can make it as big as you want to. This one's quite large, and it's got a white surface. I've had this for literally 20 years. So what you do is you get a piece of glass from the glass store, like just the auto store, ask for an offcut. You can tell them what size you want, get the tempered glass, and then you cut a piece of cardboard to size. Okay, so you can see this cardboard is cut to size. And then you gesso the top of the cardboard. Gesso is just white primer, basically. And I would do 2 coats of the gesso, let it dry all the way, and then just get some duct tape. So get some duct tape and you tape it all the way around. I would do several layers to make it really padded, get your corners well, and that way you won't get cut. And then you will have this thing for a long time, and it's much easier to clean up than one of those plastic palettes. And it's less waste than using disposable palettes or paper plates. So this is the best solution for professionals, people who want a lot of area to mix their colors, but also people who don't want to put things in the landfill.